This is Win News.
Tonight, questions raised over delays at Wollongong Hospital's emergency department. Motorists set to pay as council gives the green light to parking meters in the CBD. And Bowral named on the list of the nation's top 25 towns.
Wollongong Hospital. Hospital sources say on Tuesday, one ambulance crew was forced to wait with a patient for 6 hours at the emergency.
The hospital's future is strong and secure. What a difference a day makes. Today, one of his Labor colleagues is demanding answers about health services at Wollongong Hospital.
I raised those questions today and tried to get to the bottom of what's exactly occurred on this. It doesn't seem acceptable to me.
Noreen Hay is investigating claims of extensive delays at the emergency department. It's claimed on Tuesday a Bulletin ambulance crew arrived with a patient around midnight and left 6 hours later.
I need to check the detail, but clearly we don't want to see a situation where an ambulance is held off the road for 6 hours. And as I say, I will pursue that issue with the Minister today.
A hospital spokesperson says there's been a spike in the number of patients seen over the past 3 weeks, but the situation has now eased, with state government figures showing the number of patients passing through the emergency department increasing by more than 2,000 last year. The Wollongong MP says it could be time for an upgrade.
Now, I believe that with an ageing population and more demands on the Wollongong Hospital's emergency department, that the government should be looking at increasing that department if it's possible.
Matthew Snelson, Win News.
Late this afternoon, a hospital spokesman saying the emergency department is one of the busiest in the state. It says there's been an increase in presentations over the past month. There were 11 additional ambulance presentations than normal one day last week, and more patients than usual have required longer periods of care. The statement also says there are strategies in place to deal with peak periods of demand. Meantime, Shadow Minister for Health Gillian Skinner says stripping Bulletin Hospital of the bulk of its elective surgery is the first stage in closing down the facility. The opposition says the action will result in Illawarra patients waiting longer for vital surgery.
The New South Wales Department of Fisheries is investigating claims of a large find of dead fish on the far south coast. Witnesses say hundreds of fish have been found dead at a small lake close to Wallaga Lake near Bermagui. Fisheries officers have been sent to the scene. At this stage, it appears to be a natural occurrence due to weather patterns. Wollongong residents could be paying for parking in the CBD by the end of the year in a plan to push long-stay motorists into parking stations. Council's administrators approved the plan last night, adding that their monopoly of power made it easier.
It's going ahead with or without the community's support. Around 60% of the CBD will be metered within months.
It is an unpopular move, but we believe it's necessary to achieve the outcome.
That outcome is to free up the CBD, stopping traffic congestion created by people circling to find a free space. With better signage, it's council's aim to have more CBD workers park in stations, leaving the meter parking open as a short stay option.
The experience and history in other local government areas is that this does work, even though it's unpopular, but the reality is it does work.
It will cost a minimum of $2 a stay, which can be for up to a maximum of 2 hours. The rollout of meters will set council back $1 million, and after the first year should create an annual revenue of $455,000.
It's only in business hours, basically, on Monday to Friday and then Saturday morning.
Part of the strategy is to reinvest profits into improving footpaths and creating more long-stay parking. All-day rates have not yet been decided on. Free parking will still be available in 15-minute blocks. Metered parking has long been debated in Wollongong, and the administrators admit with full control of the council, they can put logic ahead of popularity. Danielle Post, Win News.
The federal government is facing a backlash from workers' unions over its bid to prevent a rise in the minimum wage. The South Coast Labor Council believes a cap on the minimum wage would hurt those on low incomes and may stifle the economy.
They might be the lowest.
Those on in the minimum wage.
Considered one of the gems of the Southern Highlands, and now it has received national acclaim. Bowral has been voted number 22 in the top 100 Australian towns, and the locals are keen to explain why.
Lying amongst the most picturesque of countryside, the small town is now on the national stage. Australian Travel magazine has voted Bowral the 22nd best town in the country and 5th best in New South Wales. Local tourism operators aren't surprised.
I think it's very European in its outlook. It's very homely, it's a very friendly town, and that very picturesque and inviting.
Personally, I look out from wherever you are in town and you can see the countryside. Now, there's not many towns that you can do that from.
Well known for its cafes, boutiques and gardens, the town is also one of the most expensive in the region.
I think it has a bit of a sexiness and richness about the Bowral itself. Yes, it is well heeled with some of the people that come here and some of the people that reside and also have holiday homes here. Whilst some people might see it as a bit snobbish, but in actual fact it just gives us a point of difference.
As well as the stately mansions, Bowral is famous for being the birthplace of the great Sir Don Bradman and boasts some top quality food and wine. It may have the tick of approval from tourism experts, but it's the locals that have the real insight into the treasures of Bowral.
I guess everybody's friendly in Bowral. You know, you can get everything here. You don't have to travel to Sydney for it. The climate, it's like a nice European climate.
It's so pretty, it's so relaxing, it's so clean. I think we've got about 50 coffee shops, so it's one each week.
The rest of our region was also well recognised, with Kangaroo Valley, Huskisson, Merimbula, Bermagui, Mollymook and Berry all making the top 100. Claire Dressler, Win News.
Coming up on Win News, $2 million allocated for far south coast infrastructure projects.
And Kirraville grandparents share in an innovative international toy award. Australian share market shunned negative leads from overseas to close higher today, led by financial stocks. BlueScope Steel was trading at $2.59, up 9 cents. BHP Bulletin closed down 54 cents at $33.26. AMP was up 6 to $4.81. Telstra down a cent to $3.13, and IMB finished trading at $2.68 unchanged.
The latest Illawarra Regional Information Service report suggests the recent interest rate cuts did little to stimulate the region's property market at the end of last year. Preliminary figures for the Wollongong local government area show a further 2.7% fall in median house prices for the December quarter. The price for the average house was $355,000. A 3.9% decline was also recorded in home unit sales figures, with the average price now $290,000. There was, however, a 1.5% increase in the median land lot sale price, rising to almost $224,000.
While paid parking has been the hot topic this week at Wollongong City Council, it's changes to planning restrictions that has community groups asking for answers. The draft LEP proposes to increase height restrictions in residential areas, and some residents are fearing the worst.
According to locals, Woonona is quiet and still has that small coastal town appeal.
Should have those concerns because it does affect everybody in Wollongong.
As part of the plan, height restrictions would be increased from 9 to 16 metres. Wollongong Council claims the changes are part of a template set by the state government. Hundreds of people are concerned, forcing the administrators to admit there's still some work to do.
My preliminary view is there are a couple of places where we've probably got it wrong and need to fix it up.
This is what residents are afraid of. A multi-storey would-be shopping centre left unfinished because the company in charge is now under administration.
So we've got a mess there and it's time council did something about it.
Residents say the unfinished car park has the potential to cause structural damage to homes, while pedestrians claim they're being forced onto the road because the footpath is in such disrepair.
I have to come around the road and sort of get on the road, and I'll get a bit frightened off the traffic.
Council has ordered a report on the development and will inspect it.
It could happen to anybody's house. 90% of Wollongong is going to be classified to build up to these heights.
Submissions on the draft LEP are due to Council by March 31. Danielle Post, Win News.
Shoalhaven City Council overnight has moved a recommendation to reword terms of the contract surrounding the planned construction of the Shaolin Temple. After very little development, the new clause allows council to reacquire the land if substantial development isn't made at the end of a 5-year contract.
If push comes to shove at the end of the contract and we want to basically acquire the land back because they haven't got as far as they would have liked, basically defaulted on the contract. It basically means we have an open door to proceed to return the property back to the Shoalhaven residents.
The news comes after the Chinese company responsible for construction chose to pay off the land through a mortgage-style clause instead of a one-off payment.
They've chosen to activate a mortgage clause over the property, which basically says to me that they just don't have the money right now.
Wallandilly residents are being urged to have their say over the region's transport needs. The council has developed a transport discussion paper and is encouraging community debate and feedback on a range of current and future transport issues. Feedback received from the community will be raised at the Wallandilly Transport Forum to be held in June. A lively mix of outdoor activities, games and music for Wollongong's young people will kickstart Youth Week celebrations this weekend. Fairy Meadows Skate Park was the venue for today's launch of the festivities, which are designed to highlight the talents of our region's youth. An action-packed day of skating will be held on Saturday. To find out more, you can visit Council's website for a full list of activities on offer.
It's not usually how toys are created, but bored of retirement, two Kirraville grandparents have launched into creating a child's must-have accessory. The Easy Shade Flip-Tez colouring inset has quickly become an international success, winning toy awards around the world.
The Flip-Tez idea first came to Jan Thomas 30 years ago when she was teaching at a primary school.
And when those faces turned to me and said, "Mrs. Thomas, can't you think of an easier way for us to colour in?" I took the idea home and began to develop shading powders.
Packaged in salt and pepper shakers, Jan and her husband tried to manufacture the powders but dropped the idea when it became too expensive. 3 decades later and retired, it took a chance meeting with a Chinese student at the University of Wollongong for the idea to be resurrected. And the researching began.
What grades we would need, what was going to be safe, how fine the powder would have to be, what were the children's favourite colours, what containers would be safe for them to use.
5 years later, the company has 5 staff in Australia and 15 in China where it's manufactured. The product is also being exhibited around the world and this week was runner-up at the Middle East Toy Fair Awards in Dubai.
Well, it was really quite unbelievable considering that we were against firms who have been established for many, many years, some of them hundreds. We didn't for one moment dream it would reach.
Samantha Derrick, Win News.
Time for sport now with Amy Taylor, and time almost up for the Hawks, Amy.
It is, Jeff. The new NBL has given Wollongong until Friday to find a backer. Also, a run fest in South Coast cricket finals, and players from around the globe arrive for the Lawn Bowls World Cup. Leader and Wollongong captain Matt Campbell rating their chances at 10%. The new NBL has put its foot down on the $1 million bank guarantee, and without a backer, the last foundation team left in the league will be once and for all out.